Hello, Jackie, and welcome to tape about 95, the one I did before, after lots and lots and lots of putting stuff in, got mangled up. Anyway, that's nothing to do with anything. It's a tape from me and Harry and Tim to say Happy Christmas and a very Happy New Year, and this is full of naughty nonsense. Now, it's a bit political, but I'm quite sure you'll get a great deal of fun from it. My only horror is if I play this tape back and it plays up like the other one did, I don't know what I'm going to do. But this is second attempt, so away we go. Get on with this fun. Oh, you must have your nice accoutrements as feathers and a rug, something nice to eat, keep off the Devon dear, and be nice and cosy, sit back, listen, giggle and snigger. And after this little floor show is over, I'll just fill the rest of the tape up with naughty bijou music. Okay? So, if you've got all your equipment assembled, sit back, relax, listen, and let's go ahead with this. See you later.
Now, Alan Jones's audience is more informed than most, and that's a factual statement. It's not just an idle boast. So you've heard about this treaty they've been signing in Maastricht. God help the Europeans till they get the problem licked. Now, anyone who plans to go to England, Spain or France should brush up on their currencies while they've still got the chance. So now we give you, courtesy of Alan Jones's show, a few financial lessons you should learn before you go. The Germans have the Deutschmark and the Poms have got the pound. The Italians have the lira, but it's not exactly sound. The Spaniards have pesetas and the frogs have got the franc, and the whole lot's at the mercy of the bloody Bundesbank. Now I'm told the Belgian currency is not worth half as much as the krona to the Danish or the guilder to the Dutch. They don't pay tax in Liechtenstein, they're always on the fiddle, and in Luxembourg their coinage has a hole stuck through the middle. Now, even in Great Britain some diversity prevails. The sterling pound in London doesn't look the same in Wales. The value of the Irish punt is very, very small. And in Scotland it's been rumoured that they never pay at all. The Swedes and Finns regard you with a most suspicious look if you try to pay by traveller's cheques supplied by Thomas Cook. In Holland they go Dutch, which means the other person pays. And Mallorca works on credit notes all signed Christopher Gaze. I've no idea what Norway use, but clearly it's Norwegian, so check up on the currency they use in every region. And watch out for the interest rates if you're obliged to borrow. No matter what they're quoting, you'll owe twice as much tomorrow. To economic pundits, it is no surprise perhaps that the European system is in danger of collapse. So make sure you understand about acute devaluation. If you want to spend a penny, get it soon, before inflation.
Northbridge Way, perched over the bay, there is a house with a lovely view. Gardens which reach down to jetty, pool and beach. The sight is quite arresting, perfect for a nesting walk or two. Big enough for me or you, but fresh from the lodge, our old silver bodge is going to knock the building down. He's used to the space and needs a bigger place. He can afford to spend to have extended family around. So it comes a-tumbling to the ground. His new house will be a very, very, very big house. His life was once so hard, but now that he's retired, his income very, very big house. It's high up on the hill, will cost a couple of mil, and life is so much easier today. Down North Bridge Way, perched over the bay, there is a house with a lovely view.
Roslyn Kelly, I got this kit which is environmentally sound. Roslyn Kelly, I need your help to get it off the ground. I wanna send it out to all the schools, because the farmers and the foresters it ridicules, yeah. All you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
Just all you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
Put your name there on the dotted line there, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
Here all you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
Don't you go to where they'll bother. You don't have to read it to sign it on the cover, yeah. Roslyn Kelly, woo! I got this product I want you to endorse.
Ross Kelly, I got this product for you to endorse.
Roslyn Kelly, if it's green, it must be for a worthy cause.
Ross Kelly, if it's green, it's a worthy cause.
You don't need to go to any trouble. Don't worry what it says, just sign it on the double, yeah. All you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
I said all you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
I said all you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly.
Sign, Kelly, sign.
Here all you gotta do is sign the thing, Kelly. Excuse me, mate. Define corruption. I need a dinkum definition for the word. When you wander through the haze of what's been said the last few days, you'll see this battle of semantics is absurd. If you replace an erstwhile colleague who's betrayed you in a manner much adopted by your peers, then your crime is your admission that you played the politician. If that constitutes corruption, then it's been around for years. Excuse me, mate. Define corruption. I don't think they explained the word at school. Is it corruption when you think that your state is on the brink and you must get a majority to rule? The tactics you adopt may be conniving, but if you take time out to leaf through Hansard's pages, look at what's been done before. There are precedents galore. If that constitutes corruption, then it's been around for ages. Excuse me, mate. define corruption. It's a term which all the media adore. It's that racy kind of stuff, and if they cannot get enough, then they'll wallow in the mud to find some more. They'll beat us round the head with banner headlines as they strive to reach the higher moral ground. But with the real crime rate rising, it won't be that surprising if long before they've got there, the lot of us have drowned. Bye bye, bye bye, Bondy, Bondy. Bye bye, bye bye, Bondy, Bondy. Bye bye, bye bye, Bondy, Bondy. Bondy, Bondy. How can it be? What a quandary! Alan Bond is facing bankruptcy. He set the trend for all and sundry with his borrowing spree. But the banks responded, calling Bond his guarantee. Bondy, Bondy, my oh my, what he squandered went beyond the average guy. He'd wave his wand and the banks were conned, they had to agree. And it's no wonder Bond's gone under finally. Any other man couldn't follow Bondy's plots. But whatever Bondy wanted, Bondy got, like it or not. Bondy, Bondy, he played the game with bankers, aunts and debutantes. 'Twas all the same. Will he confound 'em and astound 'em? Wait and see. Will Alan Bondy rise again eventually? Bondy, Bondy, bye bye, Bondy, 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 bye bye, Bondy, 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 bye bye, Bondy, 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 bye bye, Bondy, Bondy.
Politicians, joyful and serene, we're going to get our advertising back up on the screen. The electronic media will show we're very keen, because we love to advertise, we just adore to advertise. We love our faces on the screen. We're sorry that our legislation took us off the air, but Keating will reverse it, so you're better all prepare. 'Cause come election time you'll see our faces everywhere, because we love to advertise, we just adore to advertise. We love our faces on the screen. We love our faces on the screen.
Political advertising, the delicious and nourishing concoction of lies, damn lies and statistics that provides you with all the vitamins, nourishment and propaganda which your family needs daily. Make sure that you tune in to get your dose of political advertising every time you switch on your television or radio.
We're happy little politicians out to get your votes, with radio and television quoting all our quotes. You're sure to get the message as we ram it down your throats, because we love to advertise, we just adore to advertise. We love our faces on the screen. We love our faces
a report now appears from the ICAC. Your private information you thought was kept confidentially is open to examination. It had to come out eventually. Everything that's personal has been noted and recorded. It's a very potent arsenal for those who can afford it. Your privacy is volatile. It doesn't come for free. But if it's written on a file, they can get it for a fee. Now it's in the open. What do you got to say for it? Our insurance companies, they're the ones who pay for it. In their city offices, consulting with their lawyers, while out there on the back streets, their work is done by voyeurs. Sitting in a blacked-out van, there's a trench coat all alone, well worn in by a worn-out man with a video and mobile phone. But his real tools of trade are his gang of official informants, because no matter what rules are made, they pass the data on in installments. They're the real enemy. They're the traitors. They're the ones who feed the private investigators. I've got a little problem which I'd like to share with you. You might have the experience to tell me what to do. Around about a year ago, I went and got retrenched. I didn't have no option, but now me fists are clenched. I'm trying to find another job. Employment is my goal. But not only am I out of work, I cannot get the dough. And I have to say, God help me, that it's getting me annoyed that some statistician says I'm only marginally unemployed. Now, if I'm unemployed, it means I haven't got a job. I can't go out to work today to earn a couple of bob. You do not need the brain power of some highfalutin lawyer to understand I'm unemployed because I don't have an employer. I know I'm unemployed because I can't earn any money. And I'm telling you, fair dinkum, I don't find it very funny to have some bureaucrat proclaiming that I'm acting paranoid because the statisticians say I'm only marginally unemployed. If you need an explanation how they play their little game, I've a lady that I'm married to and she took on my name. So when I got the sack, we didn't think it such a crime. If to compensate for poverty, she got a job part-time. But now the social services have shown our best recourse is to get a separation or apply for a divorce. You see, it pays to live in sin today, because that way we'll avoid the financial disadvantage of the marginally unemployed. So listen, Mr. Keating, to a tip from one who knows. If you want to face reality, then let us now suppose if we got 1 million out of work, according to your count, just accept the fact the real numbers double that amount. Your trials and tribulations and your parliamentary rigours don't mean you have to gloss the facts or try to fudge the figures. It's your damned lies and statistics which make me so annoyed. And that comes from a voter who is marginally unemployed. Driving in my 56 Ford Zephyr, passed 1,000 sheep and a black and white heifer. Switched on the radio and heard this news piece. Joan Kerner's there getting stuck into the Kiwis. And we say, we come from the land of the long white cloud, where the women are men and the men talk loud. We might have had 1 or 2 stuff-ups, but we can still afford our fish and chops. You can bet there are problems there in Melbourne, with the Premier just like a Rottweiler yelping. You should have heard the reaction of Arjun Bulga. I tell you what he said, but it's a little bit vulgar. And we say, we come from the land of the long white cloud, where the women are men and the men talk loud. Some say our heads are thicker than our necks, but we can count from 1 to 6. We may not be perfect in economics, but we're fed to the teeth with your political comics. I'll give you a thought to stick on your back burner. We've done a damn sight better than Kerner. And we say, we come from the land of the long white cloud, where the women are men and the men talk loud. If we cannot speak as well as we order, it's a fault of the chlorine in the water. And we say, we come from the land of the long white cloud, where the women are men and the men talk loud. Some say our heads are thicker than our necks, but we can count from 1 to 6. Oh, the poor old Duke of York, he took himself a wife, and they had to bear the media's glare for all their wedded life. And when they were in, they were in, and when they were out, they were out. But they had to be seen as squeaky clean, 'cause the royal don't play about. Oh, the poor old Duke of York, he sailed off overseas, and the poor Duchess took the brunt of the press, who were very hard to please. And when she was good, she was good, and when she was bad, she was bad, and every time she was out of line, the media went mad. So the Duke stayed far from home, and golf became his game, but the poor old chap had the handicap of his title and his name. And sometimes he hit in the rough, and sometimes he hit in the sand, and he always used the golf excuse that his wife didn't understand. Oh, the poor Duchess of York was driven to despair. She began to pursue what royals don't do with a Texan millionaire. And nobody said she was right, and everyone said she was wrong, 'cause if you're a royal you have to be loyal, or at least you string along. So the royal pair of York, they've gone and broke the rules, and a royal divorce will soon enforce a split in the royal jewels. And some think it's tragic news, and some think it's all a scam, but it ain't gonna choke the average bloke, 'cause he couldn't give a damn. Oh, the Aussies and the Yankees should be friends. Yes, the Aussies and the Yankees should be friends. They go subsidising wheat We're not gonna cop it sweet, but that's no reason why we can't be friends. Farmers of the world should stick together, farmers of the world should play it fair. Keep the rules the same for either northern or southern hemisphere. I'd like to say a word for the Aussies.
Yeah, come on.
They're trying to flog their wheat without protection. I think it's crook they have to look at losing all their dough to help support George Bush's re-election. Farmers of the world should stick together, farmers of the world should play it fair. Keep the rules the same for either northern or southern hemisphere. Oh, the Aussies and the Yankees should be friends. Yeah, the Aussies and the Yankees should be friends. If they're gonna queer our pitch, there's no doubting that's a bitch, but that's no reason why we can't be friends. Farmers of the world don't need protection, farmers of the world should all compete. Tell the Yanks to leave the kitchen if they cannot stand the heat. There's not a lot to say for the Yankees, 'cause they're the cause of all this melodrama. If they need subsidising, then there's one thing we all know: they're sure no match for the average Aussie farmer. Farmers of the world should be competing, farmers of the world don't need a shield. Tell them Hughes and tell them Keating, let's have a level playing field. Farmers of the world should stick together, farmers of the world should play it fair. Keep the rules the same for either northern or southern hemisphere. Farmers of the world don't need protection, farmers of the world should all compete. Tell the Yanks to leave the kitchen if they can.
Days, as a rule, kids were made to go to school and then go out and find a job. And if you were that way inclined, uni could improve your mind. And if you weren't a total jerk, most times you could find some work, and no one had to be a slob. But now we're here in 92. What does the clever country do but put its clever youth into the dole queues all their lives? We can't get no education with all the tertiary places full. If we can't get qualification, we won't get no jobs at all. Hey, Keating, hear the students call. All in all, it's just a bloody kick in the balls.
It's sometimes very difficult to write a funny song when there's nothing very funny in the news. When famine, flood and pestilence and poverty abound, a satirist has little to abuse. But it's harder when you get a week when everything's a farce and there's so much going on you're spoiled for choice. And I got a feeling this week's turning out like one of those, so excuse the resignation in my voice. We start off with those terrorists who came here from Iran and practiced in their terroristic trade. And instead of taking obvious steps to kick the buggers out, we're paying $1 million in legal aid. Then when tourism's the only game remaining in the black, whilst most industries are struggling in the red, you'd think we'd all support it just to keep afloat, but no, the baggage handlers go on strike instead. We're invaded by a pack of whales intent on suicide, who strand themselves upon a northern beach. No doubt the federal government would offer legal aid, or a union rep would make a moving speech. But the ordinary efforts of a dedicated group shows us all determination still prevails. If only this example could be copied far and wide, we'd be saving jobs as well as saving whales. And as Keating's popularity is slowly petering out, and the coalition blunders here and there, our bid for the Olympics is frustrated by some kraut with his rabbiting about the ozone layer. And in Canberra there's a gallery to show erotic art, and pornography is going on display. Such a pathetic exhibition is not a mile apart from what goes on in the capital every day. It's just about enough to make a satirist resign, put his pen away and rest upon the shelf. But there's really not an awful lot the likes of me can do, when reality is satire in itself.
Super, Canberra will recoup a very tidy sum, paid by everyone. Come on in and join the fun. What's going on today? You must have heard someone mention the feds want to make everybody pay for what they used to get as a pension. So they're gonna raise the levy, on employers from July, from the 1st July. But the employers find it heavy, and I must say so do I. When they pay their super, Canberra will recoup a very tidy sum, paid by everyone. Don't you think we've all been done? Because the super rates they're going to create will soon be 9%, covering governments for all that they have overspent. I'm asking you, what can we do? Don't be amazed if soon they raise retirement age to 92. We'll then be bled if we're not dead, because they'll only pay in pension style instead. And as we pay our super, Canberra will recoup a very tidy sum, paid by everyone. Don't you think we've all been done? Because the super rates they're going to create will soon be 9%, covering governments for all that they have overspent. And as we pay our super, Canberra will recoup a very tidy sum, paid by everyone. Don't you think we've all been done? Because the super...
Who can you bank on to keep up the gloss when their major institution posts a monumental loss? Who can you bank on to be upfront and bold when releasing sets of figures quite amazing to behold? assuring you disasters are an item of the past, and tomorrow is another day with an excellent forecast.
You can bank on Westpac, you can bank on us. Who can you bank on?
To admit to their sin, to stiffen up their upper lip and take it on the chin.
Who can you bank on?
To brazen it out in a well-rehearsed PR campaign that leaves you in no doubt. It's not that they've been idly grasping figures from the air, intent on a recovery which simply wasn't there.
You can bank on Westpac, you can bank on us. Who can you bank on?
To run their affairs by raising countless millions through the issue of more shares.
Who can you bank on?
To turn it around, proclaiming with all confidence their operations sound. To advertise that finally their problem's at an end, and prove it by declaring a substantial dividend.
You can bank on Westpac,
Too right.
you can bank on us.
In a Spanish stadium, hear the people roar. The national hero scores a goal, leveling the score. Barely 2,000 miles away, no one's there to wave, as the innocents are massacred beside an orphan's grave. Upon the winner's podium, the victor takes his gold, poses for photographers for tomorrow's centerfold. Barely 2,000 miles away, a camera's there to save memories of a massacre beside an orphan's grave. Some newspaper editor planning his front page has a choice of two images, victory or rage. Which way to portray ourselves in how mankind behave? The victor on the podium or the orphan's grave? Barcelona, in the home of Spanish knights of old, see the world's elite as they all compete in their ruthless quest to win the gold. Barcelona, where we watch the sponsors go for broke. Who will get first place in the product race? Uncle Toby, Visa Card or Coke? But don't let that all interfere, for at last the Olympics are here. And so we say, we'll watch it night and day, 'cause really there's no way we would miss Barcelona. Barcelona's okay. Barcelona every night, my honey lamb and I Barcelona have our set routine with the TV screen as the moon shines brightly in the sky. Barcelona, in the wee small hours we watch the show. Barcelona. I'm that kind of nut, I tape it but I still can't work the video. For 2 weeks we won't get to bed. We'll be addicted to coffee instead. But still we stay. Our hair will turn to grey. But really there's no way we would miss Barcelona. Barcelona's okay. Lona, Barcelona, 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 Barcelona. Excuse me, it's time I was gone, cause the synchronised swimming is on. And so we say, we'll watch it night and day. Cause really there's no way we would miss Barcelona. Barcelona's B-A-R-C-E-L-O-N-A, Barcelona, yeah! Well, we had another stormy day where both sides of government had their say. And it was a long debate, and some made happy how it terminated. Yeah. Should the law control? Yeah. The parental role? Yeah. Or should we make it a rule? Fencing round the, fencing round the, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool. Well, I have to say it seems to me a drowning kid's a tragedy. But it doesn't matter how big the fence, it can't compensate for vigilance. Yeah, it's a crying shame. Yeah. You've got to find something to blame. So you want to go and make it a rule. Fencing round the, fencing round the, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool. Have we got to the situation where we always need legislation? It's like suffering strangulation. Can't we be responsible? Responsible, responsible. A 1, 2, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool. Instead of fencing round the, fencing round the pool, round the pool. So consider, do we want to create some Frankenstein Big Brother state? Well, if that's the direction you choose, look at the logical conclusion. We'll get a fence along every street. Fencing every river is a hell of a feat. That's what you get from extending the rule. The fencing round the, fencing round the, fencing round the, round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, round the pool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, fencing round the, fencing round the pool, round the pool.
Well, Jackie, how are you liking it so far? Bit over the top, a bit funny. I hope it is, because that's you're supposed to get the giggle out of that. It's nice. The only giggle I didn't have was this is the second attempt I've made, because the other tape went quite strange and I had to do it all again. But never mind. It only goes to lead on for me to say that this tape is going to end very soon, and we don't want anything cut off in half. So I'll prattle on a bit, and as a reminder to you to please turn over to side 2. We will hear the rest of this in completion, and then, as promised, I will put some nice music for the remainder of the tape, which has got nothing to do with the satirical side. But anyway, fun is fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it very much. Oh my god, it's like waiting for the final countdown, isn't it? Yeah. This should be ending now, my dear, any tick of the clock, so do turn over to side 2.
Didn't they have a lovely time at the conference at Rio? 35,000 filling the house, and they catered for the rich and poor. But nobody sees quite how many trees they felled to print their papers. Wasn't it silly to go to Brazil where the nuts come from?
would have guessed the East and the West would come to such agreement? Nothing is done, but isn't it fun as they sit there preaching no more bleaching? All the hot air they generate there makes dangerous greenhouse gases. Wasn't it silly to go to Brazil where the nuts come from? Muscles are flexed to see who'll be next to be the global leader. President Bush is given the push and the Japanese are keen to please, but no one's so rash to put up the cash. It's more than 100 billion. Wasn't it silly to go to Brazil where the nuts come from? You have to admit we're doing our bit with 80 from Australia. We're leading the way 'cause every day we saw Ros Kelly on the telly. Poor little lass, she's working her ass off, God knows what she's there for. Wasn't it silly to go to Brazil where the nuts come from? Didn't they have a lovely time at the conference at Rio? 35,000 filling the house and they catered for the rich and poor. But nobody sees quite how many trees they felled to print their papers. Wasn't it silly to go to Brazil where the nuts come from?
Order! The House will come to order! 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 The House will come to order! Now listen, all you members from both sides of the House. I'm calling you to order because I got a little grouse. I've been sitting here and witnessing your prattling all week, and speaking as the Speaker, I will grab this chance to speak. A Polly is a Polly, not some bloody prima donna, and each honourable member should attempt to show some honour. And this goes for you all, not just the member for O'Connor. Let's modify the parliamentary language. Now, parliamentary language should be gentle on the ear, so try to use those adjectives you'll let your kiddies hear. Don't scream at your opponent, he's a scumbag or a sleaze, or accuse him of contracting some unmentionable disease. Don't tell him he's a liar if there really is no call, and questioning his parenthood he's never on at all. For heaven's sake, don't play the man, it's time to play the ball. Let's modify the parliamentary language. Now hearken, all you members on the right and on the left. And if your vocabulary is verbally bereft, to register displeasure you don't have to be contrary. If totally devoid of wit, then use a dictionary. The ancient art of ridicule should never be forgot. You call a man a poltroon and you've got him on a spot, 'cause your opponent won't be sure if you've insulted him or not. Let's modify the parliamentary language. Now come along, you members all, and rally to my chorus. Your right hand raised in battle, in your left hand a thesaurus. We're trying to lead our country to a higher moral ground, and we're never going to get there with a kindergarten sound. It's the kind of noise which puts this house to shame. It's just as bad as no matter what you claim. I couldn't give a, 'cause it's time to lift your game. Let's modify the parliamentary language. She's 4'9" and she's 2 meters tall. She's a brunette and a redhead and a blonde. She believes in all religions and believes in none at all. And she's aiming for the limit and beyond. She's an educated polyglot, well versed in many a tongue. But she wants to change the language if she can, to censor every book that's written, every song that has been sung, and cut out every reference to a man. She's always had to struggle, and she says she always will. She knows exactly what the struggle's for. She's learning how to fight, and she's learning how to kill. It's the only way to put an end to war. Her skin is tinted yellow, olive pink and black and white. She's single, married, split up de facto. She's driving on the left, and she's driving on the right, and she's driving down the middle of the road. Her heroine is Baudelaire, though Thatcher's hard to beat, a female god and Mrs. Santa Claus. And heaven help the gentleman who offers her his seat, or commits the mortal sin of opening doors. She wants to get her airtime and she wants to have her say. She wants to get her picture on the screen. She wants the world to know that International Women's Day is not a multilingual magazine. She'll never let defences down for matters of the heart. Her dominance will be prescribed by law. And if international motherhood's required to play a part, then that's what all the frozen seamen's for. She's the international woman, and she's trying to believe that the world will be the better for her plan. Her ambition, don't you see, is to struggle to achieve a world without an international man.
Some families like to squabble, they cannot be discreet. They wash their dirty linen right out there in the street, casting slurs and telling tales, scratching with their fingernails. No way common sense prevails, washing dirty linen. Lang Hancock was a magnate, the king of iron ore, and he'd be devastated at his fighting tooth and claw. Now that poor old Lang has died, it's just as well 'cause he'd have cried to see his not so blushing bride washing dirty linen before his body's in the ground. Bitter arguments abound, see the feathers flying round, washing dirty linen. Widow and stepdaughter too, it's not a very pleasant view. Both are stirring up the poo, washing dirty linen. And each so-called lady has a go to tell the facts that she knows. I'll bet hell hath no fury like these rampant Filipinos. What a vicious compliment to take his will and testament and send it off to an event, washing dirty linen. And all the time the media waits to tell the bitter story. Their interest only generates from Lang's reflected glory. Which one will be first to air? 16 Minutes gets their share. The Hinch and a current affair, washing dirty linen. And now to finish up my song, an apology I won't prolong, but I'm sorry Lang, the girls are wrong, washing dirty linen.
Beware you frequent flyers, now everywhere you see. Every airline's advertising with offers tantalizing, they're giving away for free. I'm Ansett, Australia fly me. So tight is competition that everywhere you go, you'll see competing carriers all breaking down the barriers to pocket all your dough. They'll stampede you, mislead you, they'll offer you the earth like
like a day trip to Tasmania or a free weekend in Perth. And if you agree, watch out, travellers, take it from me, that when you take your holiday, they will apologise and say they lost your baggage on the way. So listen, frequent flyers, ignore their strident call. If it wasn't for every airline, your fast receding hairline would not recede at all. I'm Ansett, Australia, I mean.
My four-wheel drive to Canberra today. I got my map out and I plotted the way. I was not too impressed, I have to remark. There's lots of freeway, but there's nowhere to park. But there on the hill was a mausoleum, standing all alone, looking a bit like an art museum with grass and neatly mown. Maybe this was a car park, that made sense to me. That's how I came to taste a sample of drive-in democracy. I put my foot down and I drove through the door. I got some tailspin on the highly polished floor. I saw these tapestries all hanging on the walls, but where were the arrows pointing to the parking stalls? Oh, driving along in this strange emporium, marble on the ground, rather the same as a crematorium, pillars all around. Perhaps it wasn't a car park, what on earth could it be? That's how I came to taste a sample of drive-in democracy. Some men in uniform did nothing at all, and so I parked there in the center of the hall. I thought that what I did was purely common sense, and that, Your Honor, is my plea of defense. Uh-oh, why do the feds have this mausoleum there in Canberra town? Just so that we can go and see 'em shout each other down. Why not make it a car park, charge a nominal fee? Then we could see a small return for our drive-in democracy.
And that, my dear, was politics, or as poly as we can get politicians into. I thought it was lovely, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and lots of laughs and giggles read in all those little tunes, and I know there's one or two in particular we're big having a good snicker to, and a but that concludes our political segment for this evening, or today, or tomorrow, whatever. So to waste no time, for the remainder of the tape, I shall slip on to some nice songs by my namesake, Miss Billie Holiday. I hope you enjoy them and have had a nice romp through this naughty calendar as a welcome to 1993 and all of that stuff. Do give me your thoughts and views. So from me and Tim and Harry, night night, good morning, good afternoon, God bless, glad you enjoyed, hope you did anyway. Now on with Miss Holiday.